Ugh, you guys, I gotta tell you, I had really high hopes for Givenchy's shoe game after Matthew M. Williams came into the house. I was like Panic at the Disco up in there, you know, like, ha ha, hopes for... I'm tone deaf, and also I shouldn't sing that because they'll just copyright strike my video and it won't even exist anymore. So multiple reasons not to go any further with that. Sorry. But I thought he was going to design some really great shoes. I thought that under their previous director, Claire Waite Keller, her shoes were cool. Like, they looked good, but they were really, really unoriginal. So they had like these strap shoes, which are basically tennis shoes with this logo strap over the top of them. And those are very similar to these Gucci shoes that they have with the logo band over the top. Again, they had like I think they were called the Urban Street shoes, something like that, which were also tennis shoes, and they were very much like Common Projects mixed with Gucci Ace or something like that. They had the Spectre, which was like Adidas NMD mixed with like the Rick Owens, more sock shoe type of things with these little wings coming off the back. That was very Rick Owens to me. And she even got in on the chunky shoe game. Chunky Schnoo, is that what I just said? The chunky shoe game with the Jaw sneakers, which were really huge, and those were actually really cool. Totally unoriginal, like it was clearly just like them saying we really need a chunky shoe, but I love a good chonker. I've been a chonker at different times in my life as well. I guess I can just relate to them. So I love a good looking big ass shoe. So they're cool. The other shoes, they look good as well. They look clean, they look expensive. They're just not original. They weren't doing anything new in the realm of luxury footwear. So that was kind of my problem with it. I thought they were doing fine, but clearly they weren't doing anything that was blowing the roof off of things. I wanted to see them really pushing forward in the realm of footwear. They're one of the top, they're not like Louis Vuitton, Dior, or anything like that, but they are on that second tier of massive global luxury fashion brands. They should be pushing the conversation forward. This was the house of Alexander McQueen, Riccardo Tisci, stuff like that. They've done massive things in fashion, and they deserve to have some signature shoes that really speak to what the house is actually all about and isn't just another luxury sneaker. But then Givenchy brought in Matthew M. Williams, and he is somewhat of a divisive figure within fashion. He comes from the streetwear side of things. He came up under Kanye West along with like Virgil Abloh. He worked for Lady Gaga, so he really wasn't in that high fashion school type of set who you usually see at these big houses. Obviously, Virgil Abloh came into Louis Vuitton, did very well, so they must have thought, hey, if we can bring in a guy like that to Givenchy and revitalize that as well, that's a great option. But I am generally a person who is positive on Matthew M. Williams. I think that Alyx is a really great brand. They're surprisingly good at tailoring. They're good with like tech wear, and they created a signature style with their roller coaster buckles that has been absolutely massive. And if you can do that, if you can create a new like accessory or piece of hardware that suddenly takes off like wildfire, obviously you have a good mind for the market and for luxury fashion and clothing. So I figured this guy, he's got a designer's eye, right? He's got those robo eyes. They'll look right through. They'll see the perfect thing that all the kids will get hyped on, and he's got it. He's got that it factor. So I figured, hey, he's from streetwear. He's got that eye. All that equals great sneakers. He's gonna have the best designers and manufacturers on these things. He's gonna work it out. Here's the thing though, he didn't. So the first signature sneaker under Matthew M. Williams is called the Give One. I guess that makes sense. Givenchy One, it's the first sneaker. Okay, the name is a complete bore, and so are the shoes. Like, they're a mess. Okay, I don't know what they are. They're a hot pile of nothing. So they're made out of calfskin, polyamide, stuff like that. They have, it looks like a waffle sole. They have some lines going through them. One version has like a slightly translucent green midsole, almost looks like an air sole or something. They also have a version that's in like a croc leather. It's not real croc leather, it's just still calfskin, but with a croc leather effect. That's something at Alyx he did a lot. He's very much into these kind of exotic snakeskin, crocodile leather, stuff like that. Very much up his alley. But these shoes are just a fucking snore fest. Like, I don't even know what to say about them. There's no design to it. There's no point of view. They just look like a pair of shoes. There's no design language. There's no theme to them. There's no reason for them to exist. They're just... Givenchy needs to sell shoes, so they made shoes. That's what it looks like. And old Givenchy shoes, they were like $300, $400, $500. Maybe for the top ones, they were $600 or $700. These cost $1,000 a pair. So clearly at that, like, you know, Balenciaga price point. I don't understand why. Balenciagas, they cost so much because they do things that are truly new. They have to create new work streams, and they've got to set the factories up to make these crazy sneakers because no one's ever made them before. For instance, the Triple S's, that's 3 soles stacked on top of each other. That takes a lot of like R&D effort to figure out how to actually make those. The same goes with like the Tyrex or the Trax or the Expanders, the crazy Go-Go Gadget spring shoes that they've had come out. These things take a lot of effort to actually make, and obviously that doesn't cover the whole cost. There's a lot of extra built in, the luxury tax, you know, but there's some reason why they're so expensive. You know, Gucci, a lot of their shoes, even those cost like $500 because they're fairly simple shoes, just like these are. It's really, you can hear it in my voice. I'm not even like trying to be funny or anything. I'm just disappointed in this. So that actually got me thinking, like, why did I have so much faith that Matthew M. Williams was going to come up with a great signature sneaker for Givenchy? What have I seen from him in the past that would make me believe that? And I started thinking about it, and I realized I'm pretty sure he's a bad footwear designer, and we've all just kind of overlooked it. Like, he's got a bad track record, you guys, and I don't think anyone's really broken it down and shown how all of his shoes have been disappointments. So I'm going to do that for you. I'm going to lay out my case to why Matthew M. Williams is a bad sneaker designer. Let's do it. So I think it may have been just last season that he came out with like the Alyx signature sneakers with the roller coaster buckle. So those go across the top, like over the laces, and the rest of it is like a weird Air Force One knockoff, except with perforations everywhere. And I think it's in black and it's in white. And again, it's a really, really boring shoe. It's just a standard sneaker with a roller coaster buckle on it. And I've made arguments before that all you need to make something good is one new tweak or element. But in my view, this sneaker in particular just feels lazy. It's a shoe with the Alyx buckle on it. The end, nothing special, nothing cool beyond that. So that's just really unfortunate to see. He's also done like some hiking type silhouettes with these slightly chunkier Vibram soles. In his work with Alyx, he seems to actually be really into the Vibram soles, and they are high quality, they're good. But again, there's no design to this particular shoe. It's just like some kind of neoprene or something, like a canvas that's over it, and I just don't see anything special to it. Obviously the sole comes from Vibram, so from his perspective there's not much design from him on that end. It doesn't look like a luxury sneaker. That's the problem. None of these do. Even coming up to now, why can't I speak right now? Even coming up to now with the Givenchy, none of these have design to them, and it's really sad to see. I think where he's actually been most successful is with his version of the chonkers, right? The chunky boys. So with Alyx, he does have this one version that's also Vibram soled, but they're much wider, they're chunkier, And again, the upper, it's not really well designed, but at the very least it is sleek and it is modern to the point where it's recognizable as a kind of like hip, cool, more a high-end type of sneaker. So while it doesn't necessarily stand apart from the pack, at least it does look like a good shoe. And this kind of streak of subpar footwear design even extends to his collaborations with Nike. So somewhat recently, he actually did an Alyx collaboration with them for the Air Force Ones. I think they were mid-tops or high tops. And what he did is he took a Air Force One. It was made out of really, really high quality tumbled leather. I'm glad he pushed for that. Although it did also make them cost like $450 retail, which makes them like probably some of the most expensive actual Nike-made Air Force Ones of all time. But when it comes down to it, the construction or the materials that are high quality, that being aside, it's still just Air Force Ones with an Alyx buckle across them. Nothing more than that. Meh. He's also had a bunch of personal collaborations with Nike as well that weren't under the Alyx banner. So for instance, he has these free trainers, which, so most of his shoes are, I would say, under-designed. These ones are way, way, way over-designed. So again, we've got the Vibram sole, so he's kind of outsourcing the sole to another company, essentially. And then it's got, basically, it's like a Vibram outsole, like a cage, and then there's all these straps going over it, and it's this weird, like, fractal pattern to the sole. I like the colorway. It did come in a bread colorway, which is cool, but like it's also a sock shoe underneath, I think. It makes like 0 sense. Probably his best solo sneaker with Nike are the Zoom 004s, I believe they're called. And these are the ones, again, they were like, I think $500 or something like that, which is just absurd. Like Matthew and Williams, I don't know how highly you think of yourself. I don't feel like you have that kind of cachet to be cashing those kinds of checks from the everyday people who want your sneakers, okay? But that's another issue. So the upper, I really don't like. Again, it's highly perforated, mesh, kind of weird, but the sole is pretty cool. It almost looks like a tank, like that, how it has the, what do you even call that? The track, essentially, underneath. It looks like that. It's also got like a Zoom Air unit under there. I don't know. It's pretty cool overall. It's original, so I'm not going to hate on these too much, even though they weren't worth the asking price. And finally, he also had his fuggliest Nike sneaker, the Joyride. Joyride CC3 Setter, I think it's called. And again, it looks like hospital shoes. I don't know, like it looks like what you'd give to a nurse to kind of stay, you know, orthopedically fit and not hurt your feet when you're running around the hospital all day or something. It doesn't look like a high-end shoe whatsoever. It just makes no sense. I don't get it. And that's the common theme with a lot of these shoes. I just don't know what he's doing. I don't know what his thought process is. I don't see any coherent vision going into these. Like, take a look at Virgil Abloh's shoes with Nike. Love him or hate him, he has a clear point of view that carries through all of the shoes that he's done with that brand. Matthew and Williams, he's just throwing spaghetti at the wall, and it's not sticking because that spaghetti ain't done. So that's my hot take, my super, super hot take for the day. Matthew M. Williams, actually, it turns out, is not a good footwear designer, and he hasn't been in the past, and unfortunately, he's not very good at Givenchy now either, and I really want to see them do better in that footwear game in the future because I think they have everything they need, the structure around them to make great shoes, but it's just not lining up here, and it's really disappointing to see. So with that, take a look at the other video on screen here, subscribe to my channel, like this video, and I'll see you next time.